And we are on. Hello and welcome to Sports Unhinged. I am Mo and I'm joined by Yujita, Coach, and Mark. And we're back from our New Year's bye week. And boy, have things changed in the last 2 weeks. I mean, we were kind of going through a few episodes where we're just repeating ourselves week after week with different scenarios that could transpire. When we took that break, Indy looked like they're a surefire, have a place in the playoffs, and then suddenly now things are looking a bit shaky for them. They're no longer the team to beat in the AFC. In the NFC, a lot of things have happened as well, and we'll probably talk about some of the miscellaneous things like Antonio Brown's silliness in the last game. But guys, playoff time. I mean, we are so close. The first week 18 in NFL history, the longest regular season ever. So what should we tackle first, the AFC or the NFC? Yujita, actually, I'm not going to ask you that question because I know what you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's why we go to the AFC because we don't really worry about the NFC.
For me to be even in the presence of fans that have no playoff teams, I could get kicked out of the playoff team beach country club /
Well, first of all, I'm insulted that you called me a fan and not an expert.
Listen, young man. Listen, young man from the 40s. You will not usurp my glory.
Right? How dare you take that, Mark? How dare you take that? Mark, I can't believe you let him say that about
outrageous. I'm going to pause recording now. That's just outrageous slander.
I only have outrageous things to say because
apparently.
All right,
these guys.
Yujita, you know what? I'll give it to you. We'll
AFC.
AFC. All right, fine. All right, let's start with the AFC now. Things have kind of took a weird turn. So Tennessee currently sit at the top, at the number 1 seed, 11-5. And Coach, I got to give you some props because you called Tennessee as the AFC team at the beginning of the season before we even started, and at many points during the season it didn't look good. Your prediction didn't look good at all. What do you think Tennessee have to attribute this success to so far?
Hey, listen, all of my prognostication was based on their running game and Derrick Henry. And then when he goes out, then I think they were in a little bit of trouble, but they figured it out. And maybe he deserves some Coach of the Year opportunity and some Coach of the Year votes to take your number 1 best player out and still accomplish what they've accomplished. I think, I had my statistician look at their schedule. Of all of the playoff teams, they're about the 3rd weakest schedule. So some of that is from their schedule, but as we say, you play the team that's in front of you,
right?
And that's all that you worry about. And it doesn't matter what their schedule is, especially in the NFL. I feel pretty good about my pick still. I think their 2 wideouts have come back strong the last 2 weeks. I feel quite sure that they will win and get the 1 seed throughout. Now in the crazy AFC, who knows? I mean, I don't want to play Kansas City. If New England ends up with they're in anyway. I don't know that I want to play him. I don't want to say them, but I don't think I want to play him as a coach, right? Indy's pretty hot. Yeah, they didn't play that great last week, but 7 out of the last 8 games, they're pretty good. And what wins in the playoffs? Running the football and playing defense. Well, they do that pretty darn well. And so does Tennessee. And just a reminder, my big man practiced today.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry practiced today.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you say there?
Would it be a ratings problem if Tennessee reached the Super Bowl for the NFL?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They need a Mahomes versus Arizona, probably.
Right. Okay, Mark.
Dallas.
Dallas. Oh, Dallas would be
is
the biggest one for sure.
When Chicago are not there.
Big game last week, though. That was a Super Bowl type.
Underrated.
Mark, the coach's segment is coming up a little bit later, but I have to say it up front just to put you in a bad mood. I think Matt Nagy might have done enough to save his job in the last couple of weeks. So, you might be stuck with him for a little while.
tablets are you taking over there? Your medication needs reducing. I'm sorry.
Espanol medication.
If you said the general manager might still be there next year, I'd possibly agree.
Possibly,
but
yeah.
I don't think Matt Nagy will be there.
Okay. Let's go back to the AFC. Now, I think for me, the most impressive team was Cincinnati. I mean, in the last 3 games, they had a 3-game winning streak. I mean, talk about a time to get hot in, right? And to clinch the division there. So, Mark, what do you see right now? Cincinnati are projected by ESPN to play against Indy in the playoffs. How do you see Cincinnati as a real threat to Tennessee, to Kansas City, to reach the Super Bowl in the AFC, or is it just a small kind of?
Anybody who gets to the playoffs is a threat. Then we've seen wildcard teams win Super Bowls, so everybody wants to get to the wild card. Everyone wants to get to the playoffs. Once you're there, it's one game, and we've seen with Indy that they played so well, and then last week they really dropped off a ledge a little bit. Were they worked out, or was it just a rough week? I actually think it was a rough week. Right. Indy will be through if they win in Jacksonville, and let's face it, they should. So no, Cincinnati are as big a threat to as anybody, and on their day they got close to Kansas the other week. So absolutely, they can score points against anyone. They really can.
Now, Eugenia, I think one of the stories in the AFC that doesn't seem to have an ending, it just keeps going on and going on and going on, is Buffalo and New England. And Buffalo play the Jets, New England play Miami, but it looks like whichever way that goes and whoever wins the division, that they'll be up against each other in the playoffs. Now, the Buffalo Bills were our Super Bowl pick preseason. How good do you feel about that pick in terms of them getting through New England and Bill Belichick?
Yeah, look, I don't think New England really wants to play Buffalo at this point. Yeah, because Buffalo has, they found their stride now, man. They found their run game. Yeah, you got Singletary carrying 25, 30 yards per game, or 20, 30 carries a game, 100 yards plus. And, Josh Allen looks much better as well. Their defense is playing better. So, New England, look, ever since the bye week, I think they've, they went 1-2 before they won their last couple of games.
Right.
So that bye week really didn't help them. They lost kind of some momentum there, and so they haven't really looked like the team. Like I wouldn't think they would be able to beat a team like Cincinnati, for example.
Right.
I really don't think at this point they could beat Buffalo, because Buffalo's really found their stride. So I think, if in the wild card situation, I would take Buffalo definitely at this point.
Yeah, and the game will be in Buffalo.
And they're in the 3-game winning streak right now. Yeah. Coach, I want you to explain something to me. I know we talked about Cincinnati, right? But from a coverage point of view, what is Jamar Chase doing that nobody is able to catch him? I mean, the last game, some of the things that he was doing looked superhuman. Whether it was after the catch or him getting separation, are the defenses unable to deal with him, or is he really just like superhuman? What is going on there?
So I think 2 things here. Does Cincinnati remind you guys a little bit of Tampa last year, catching fire in the last 5-6 weeks, rolling into the playoffs with their big hitters hitting big? I think the last 2 weeks, especially with Jamar Chase, they've played zone-heavy defenses.
Right.
And when you have 2 to 3, I wouldn't call them excellent, but let's call them very good wideouts, or let's say 2 very good wideouts with an excellent number 1 receiver in Chase. You can find soft spots in the zone, and then you just have to break 1 tackle or 2. They've done a really good job of that in the last 2 weeks against 2 zone-heavy defenses, okay? And then I think 2 weeks ago there were some COVID issues, and a lot of that defense was out. I don't necessarily think he's superhuman as much as I think they're just in sync, right? And we've seen this over the years with typical quarterback to receiver. I mean, look, you could even say the same with Green Bay at the moment. They've kind of found their thing. and it's not just, Rodgers to their number one or their number two. They've gotten it around a bit. So that, the sideline route to Boyd on 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 11 was the best pass he threw all day.
Right.
And that's to Boyd. That's not even to Chase. But look, it looked like yard ball pitch and catch with him just running everywhere across the field. But I think the majority of that is zone. I haven't looked at their potential playoff matchup, who it might be, and if they're a zone or a man. If they're a zone, I'd be terrified.
Right now, they're projected to play against Indy by ESPN. So that's the projection.
So Indy's very zone heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They play a double high zone with 2 backers underneath and only rushing with 3 or 4. So,
tough one.
I mean, who has a better skill position players than Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Honestly, like Coach talking about Boyd, Higgins, Chase, and Mixon.
Mixon to run the ball, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what kind of coverage he plays. Burrows is playing at an elite level right now, and he's putting the ball out there and trusting his receivers to get it. And look, one more thing, Cincinnati, they don't make mistakes. They're about 4.2 penalties per game. And that is always going to win you games.
Right.
Always.
Right. Now let's look at the remaining spots in the AFC. And I think Indy are playing Jacksonville. They win and they're through, which leaves the 7th seed up for grabs. If Indy lose, it just opens a Pandora's box. I mean, Mark, we were just talking about this right now. Now, you've been looking into this quite in depth.
Yeah.
What happens if Indy lose to Jacksonville? What are the different scenarios that could pop
How much
up right
time
now?
do we have?
If Indy lose, then Vegas or Pittsburgh or Baltimore could all go through.
Or the Chargers.
Chargers.
Or the Chargers if they win as well. Yeah, it's a little bit of a nightmare. We all want Indy to win for the sake of clarity.
Yeah.
I think that if Indy and Vegas win, they both go through. And that's the likely scenario.
Yeah.
Indy and Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, because Vegas.
I don't know about Vegas and the Chargers. That
well,
yeah. I mean,
I realize what I'm saying there, but I just think Vegas on this really nice roll at the moment. We're going to talk about coaches in a minute. Does their coach deserve a full-time job? He took over really a very, very bad situation in Las Vegas. Right. And he seems to have built a really strong unit over there. And I just think maybe he deserves another year with that group to see where
they're definitely playing for him. So I think he's got the players rallied around.
And I think they're capable of beating the Chargers. I really think.
Right. Now, Baltimore are in a 5-game losing streak. I mean, talk about, I think was it you, Ujita, that made that bold prediction a few weeks ago that Baltimore won't make the playoffs. This has become a nightmare situation for them. Pittsburgh were on the outside looking in. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh, again, went against our preseason prediction, at least my preseason prediction of having a losing record and having Mike Tomlin leaving. He's not going anywhere. I mean, this guy is just... He managed to get a non-losing record season. They could still lose and end up 8-1 with the ghost of Ben Roethlisberger playing for him, not even Big Ben himself. So it's a little bit of a strange situation going there. The Chargers seem to be the perennial disappointment in the NFL every single year. Every single year we talk about the Chargers finally possibly doing something, and then they just let it slip. So, do you really agree with Mark? You see that Vegas can beat the Chargers in this? I mean, this would be a game for the playoffs. And there's one scenario where they could actually, I think if Indy lose, they could just take 15, knees and just end in a tie and both of them go through.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the Chargers? Where did it go wrong? They should have been up. They should have been where Indy is, I feel, this year, in terms of their power, their strength, their wins. Why are they still on the outside looking in?
Well, yeah, it's exactly what you said, right? They always have this thing about shooting themselves in the foot, and they did that in a lot of games. And I think Staley decided that it's going to be an aggressive offense, and they haven't really changed that around much. They're still going on fourth. Herbert's throwing up those big bombs, and fortunately from them recently, that's working out more than it isn't. And on the defensive side, their run defense was bottom table defense, and that's come up a bit as well now. The secondary is still all right. So I think, I don't know. I mean, the Raiders is really another team that you really can't be certain of what team turns up on the day. Derek Carr, he's playing decent. He's not elite, but he's decent. And they've got some players in place that can make plays, and he's kind of clutch as well, because they've had these fourth quarter comebacks plenty of times this season. So, I mean, I really think the Chargers are going to win this game and just go through, get that playoff position, keep the playoff position. Yeah. But then again, man, I mean, it's this season in the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. But let me say another thing. So the Colts Jags is an early game,
right,
on Sunday.
Yeah,
and I think they moved the Chargers Raiders game to later in the day. So we're gonna know a lot. We're gonna know a lot by Sunday early. What's gonna happen in that AFC, and either it's a big mess or everything stays the same.
You
as
imagine
it is
if Indianapolis lose, what?
I'm rooting for it.
What the atmosphere would be in Vegas?
Hey, Indy is 0-6 at home to Jacksonville of late. So
really.
Oh yeah, they haven't beaten the Jags at home. It's 0-6.
No, it's in Jacksonville.
It is in Jacksonville, so they haven't won in Jacksonville really. So yeah, don't count it out.
Wow,
don't count it out. Yeah,
great
so
stat.
There's a stat like that for San Francisco and the Rams, though, isn't there? That I think San Francisco beat them 5 out of the last 6 times.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about the NFC in a minute.
Nice segue with the NFC. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm like a DJ.
Chicago is still out, though. Chicago is still out.
So basically, Mark, what you're saying, we might have a scenario where the game happens early, Jacksonville win that game, and then we get Vegas against the Chargers, and you get 2 Colin Kaepernicks taking knees for like 15 times, and then we're done.
Yeah, but listen, the easiest way through, if the Colts do lose, is the Steelers, because then all they have to do is win, and then suddenly ugliest winning team in the league.
Oh my God! Yeah, absolutely. Right?
So I mean, don't count it out. Don't count anything out.
We said this 2 weeks ago. Hey, don't count out the Steelers. You never know.
No.
Imagine if they won 3 out of their last 3.
I have to admit, I counted them out. I mean, I was.
I did
certain.
too. To be honest.
Yeah.
I still think that drawn game with Detroit is going to cost Pittsburgh.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
I think it might actually
kept them in. That is what is helping them.
I think it'll help them because the third tiebreaker's win percentage.
Right.
Yep. They should have won that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's Big Ben's only tie in all his entire career. His first tie game.
Is it really?
Yeah, wow. It is. Yeah.
Good, Mr. Stat Machine over there.
What are you gonna do?
I may fire my guy and hire you.
Yeah.
He's half the price as well.
I heard horrible working conditions over there, so I'm gonna have to say no.
You mean at your place?
Yeah.
your statistician has been, he's been talking. Yeah, you might want to put a trap on that.
His actual real boss beats him on occasion. So.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the NFC.
NFC.
This went south really fast.
Yeah. All right. The NFC. I mean, Green Bay have clinched the number 1 seed. So the road to the Super Bowl goes through Green Bay, through Lambeau Field. But before we talk about, the teams that have made it, I mean, Ujita, 4-game winning streak for your Philadelphia Eagles. They've clinched a playoff spot. Right now, projected to play against the Rams. Do you attribute this to the wins against Washington? Is it Washington losing 4 in a row at the same time that you guys won 4 in a row? What came together for the Philadelphia Eagles to get to the playoffs? I mean, talk about an ugly team reaching the playoffs, with some ugly wins.
Yeah, the answer to that is in agriculture.
Oh yeah, yes, yes.
I'm glad you picked that up real fast.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
He planted, it sowed, the roots grew. What are you gonna say? And that was a 2-5 start when you brought it up. I didn't. You brought it up. I hadn't even seen that press conference. And
dude, he said that, and for a couple of weeks, everything that guy said smelled of fertilizer. But he was onto something.
But it was a good smell, though. I mean, that was a 2-5 start, and then everything started to work out after week 8. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's a multiple number of things that went right to for the Eagles to be where they are. The main one has been that O-line, the trust in that O-line to have that running game go between the tackles. There's not so much on the outside as much. They've trusted their run game. The only thing I think, and I talked to Mark about this because we were watching the games last week. The Eagles they have an issue starting off the block. So they're, the first quarter, second quarter, especially even with the Giants. Yeah, they've got those issues. So, and that's going to be a problem. We're going to play Tampa Bay or we're going to play the Rams. And the only way to get at Tampa and the Rams is to have them down early. I mean, Tom Brady struggles when he's hurried. It takes him a while to get back up. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. You can beat him into Detroit.
MVP.
He's still a candidate, though.
Is it? Oh yeah, you insist. Yeah. You insist on that.
I don't insist.
So he's the car from Vegas.
The lists out there, Okay,
the list.
I mean, so that's the point. So if the Eagles can't hurry these two guys up front, there's going to be a problem. So, I mean, I would go as far as to say if Eagles win the toss, then I wouldn't defer. I would get out there and do a long 10 to 12 play drive, keep Brady on the bench, keep him thinking, and then have the defense go at him, So, and again, Sirianni has done a great job with his play callings. He's used Jalen Hurts wisely now, not the way he did at the start of the season. Not so much with the big plays, only do it when there's a, he's good at picking up the blitz. So if there's a good secondary opening, he'll go for it and he'll trust Smith and those guys to pick up those balls. Who would you rather play, the Rams or Tampa? At this point, it's tough because I think I would pay Tampa.
Ooh, you're picking Tom Brady? Tampa. Who in their right mind would say, let me play against Tom Brady?
Look, when given the choice. Like I said, the defense is good enough to go after Brady. We don't know who he's got at wide receiver right now. Who's he got? Has he got Evans back, Godwin back? I don't know if Leonard
Godwin's done for the season.
No, Godwin's done
for the season. Yeah, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is done for the season. So they kind of look depleted. I don't know how much that whole episode will affect them. So with all that in mind, I would honestly rather play Tampa than Arizona. There's no way we're going to play Dallas. And I'll say this. Thank God. Thank the football eunuchs that we will probably not play Green Bay until the championship game. Right. So that's all I got. Bottom line is I don't mind who we play at this point. I think there's a 50-50 chance we can get through this.
Honestly, I think if you guys end up against the Rams, Mark's prophecy of Matthew Stafford letting you down when it matters the most has a very good chance of happening. I mean, Mark, how do you feel about the Rams going into the playoffs?
Look, they can win it all. Absolutely, they've got the ability. But I still, as you say, I don't trust Matthew Stafford when the chips are really, really down. If they can get up by 20 points, he'll be fine. But if he needs to do a 2-minute drive to win the game, I'm not that confident that he can do it. So
Odell Beckham is punching people in the butt as well. So I think everything looks, he looks like the old Odell right now.
But their defense is looking great. That's what I really like in Los Angeles more than anything is what they're doing there. So Matthew Stafford's had some really, really bad games though.
Yeah.
Like awful games. And you don't want that to turn up on Wild Card weekend.
How many times have we seen him in the playoffs when he was with Detroit? Have we ever seen him?
Of course he didn't. It's
Never.
Detroit.
0, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So this is the first time we're going to see Matthew Stafford in the playoffs and see
Yeah,
what
so-
he's doing.
So it's
Historic.
new territory for him. And
Historic stuff.
a lot more pressure on him than, these are the games that McVay's taking him over to Los Angeles for, not the
Right.
season games. It's the postseason. That's where he needs to step up and show his fantastic arm and everything else. He needs to leave the Detroit version back in Detroit there.
Now, Coach, I saw your reaction when Yujita said he'd rather play Tom Brady. I think Tampa Bay have had a few troubles at wide receiver, obviously with Chris Godwin going down. The Antonio Brown saga seems to be kind of escalating by the hour. I mean, even as we speak right now, he just recently released a statement that didn't look like it was written by him at all. I'm sure it was a lawyer or an agent or someone that wrote it for him. He's now released screenshots of the text messages he'd had with Bruce Arians the day before, which show that, they were aware of his injury right now. First of all, what do you feel about the Antonio Brown situation there? Is there going to be trouble for the coaching staff at Tampa Bay, or are we just going to attribute it to Antonio Brown being Antonio Brown and just move on from there?
I think, actually, I don't think, I know, and even teaching and coaching in the low areas of high school and middle school, you take the people that are on the field and you play them. And if they're healthy enough, they play.
Right.
And in the first half, he played. I'm quite sure that Arians knew about a potential injury and where his ankle might or might not have been, either the day before, 2 days before, or game day. But for what he played 26 plays in the first half, none of that was an issue.
Right.
And so when it's time to go play again on your 27th or 28th or 29th play, and a trainer doesn't come to you or a doctor doesn't come to you, then you're assuming that just like play 26, 25, 24, I have this idea in my head of a set of play calls, and it's probably going to center around him. Hey, go in. It's time. I think I've got some ideas and some numbers that can help us. And I do, and I will almost always side with the player, if you can believe that. Not always the coach, but I believe this is probably a smoke screen. I think this is the opportunity to save face. I think it had nothing to do with his ankle.
Really? Well, he's got an independent MRI that shows that there's been some kind of fracture bone or something like that.
Okay, and I have a negative COVID test and then the positive test the next day. So I mean, you can make things work to your advantage, and you can get second, third, fourth, fifth opinions. What was it? Peyton Manning should have quit when he left Indy, but got a second opinion without surgery for a full year and won a Super Bowl a year later. Right. So I just think that there's way more smoke than there is fire. Look, he's doing PR 101 and good for him. He still wants to try to play football and make a living, but I would side with the coach here. I think, I just have a feeling that they have an opportunity. Now, to your second question.
Right.
I think Tom Brady and that team, let me say that team, led by Tom Brady, they'll rally around this.
Yes.
Because if you look at 5 of the last 7 passes that he threw, it wasn't to his big dogs, right? It was to those second and third and fourth tier people, and he made them shine and look miraculous, just like he used to do in New England.
Right? Yeah.
I'll take a nobody and I'll beat you.
Right. So I think let's assume that the whole Antonio Brown situation is exactly as Antonio Brown is describing it, that he was injured, they were forcing him to go into the game. As a coach, does anything justify the way that he walked out, taking off your jersey, waving to the crowd? I mean, that was just even if everything he's saying is correct, I think the reaction should have been him walking to the locker room, getting it checked out, saying that he can't play anymore. And nobody would realize, and he'd still be on the team, living to fight another day, right?
Let's remember, from Pee Wee football to the NFL, it's not just a player saying, I'm hurt, I can't go in. You've got a multitude of trainers. In the NFL, it's trainers and doctors. Hell, they have to go to the tent now, right? Yeah. And they have to be not deemed to be able to play.
Right.
So and then if you're that unwell, then someone walks you to this off the sideline, or someone takes your helmet and says, look, you can't play, you have a broken ankle, or you have bone fragments, or whatever. It's not the way it went down that way. And I just feel like I think he's probably played his last day in the NFL, unfortunately, because he's a wonderful talent.
Absolutely. And it's still, I mean, what has happened is Tom Brady was really rooting for this guy, and he was passing to him, and Gronk kind of took a back seat. His numbers went down because a lot of the targets were going to Antonio Brown. So do you see Gronk coming back into the picture right now and becoming Tom Brady's favorite target once again?
You know, I don't know if the answer to that is yes. I see him being probably a little more in the offense than the last 2 or 3 weeks. But I think some of those other guys that we've talked about, what's this kid's name, Cyril Gray or something, he looked good because of some of the play calls around him. Now, let's be clear. When you least expect it, Gronk's going to catch a touchdown pass, or they're going to create some plays like they did in the Super Bowl last year that you've never seen before, that you've never heard before, that he's never run before, that will make them better by using him. So I can see him being, I wouldn't say the center of the offense, but you'll see his name more.
Right.
He did have a bad week, 3 weeks ago when he dropped about 4 passes. And maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because that forced Brady to look at his second and third choice guys and made them look fantastic, put them in the right position, great experience for them. And suddenly they've now got a much more expanded offense, as opposed to a Gronk and Mike Evans focused, or Antonio Brown focused.
That's good depth.
It's very good depth. So
now Mark,
Gronk will win them the Super Bowl if he gets there. That's what they do.
That's in the books, right? Now, Mark, as you know, your favorite Green Bay Packers, the Super Bowl, the road to the Super Bowl goes through them. It was a similar situation last year, and Tom Brady went there and beat Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Do you see that same scenario repeating if Tampa Bay get to play against Green Bay?
He just rode off the Eagles just like that. Gone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say whoever.
Why am I even here?
Whoa! Hold on. What did Mark say?
Whoever goes to Lambeau in the championship game will win.
Wow!
We need Darla.
Wow!
We need Darla for that.
Darla, did you hear that? Hear my words.
We need our guest
from Green Bay. Yeah.
I think I need to hear that again. Whoever goes to Lambeau
will win in Lambeau
for the championship game. I think Green Bay will win the divisional, but I think
that means that means if Dallas goes, Dallas is going to win. Come on, don't do that to me.
I know.
There is no.
I really hate to say this, and I really hate to say it. Philadelphia have got a really good chance of getting.
Oh,
I said that. I said we won't meet Green Bay till.
I mean, you started digging and you just kept digging. Now, I mean, you're in a really, really deep hole.
I don't see one NFC team that has it all together, the goods to beat Green Bay.
Oh, to beat Green Bay. Okay,
yeah, that's what I said.
Okay,
I don't see. There's a couple of questions about Arizona.
Arizona, Dallas. I mean, give us your perspective on that. It looks like they're going to be playing each other in the playoffs. Arizona, Dallas. I know Coach would like to step in here.
I'll give you one credence to Mark's argument.
Right.
In general, in the last 5 to 6 weeks plus the playoffs, your super really good teams have one stinker where they're off, they're wrong, it's not good. Tampa had one last year. Multiple teams have had them. Green Bay hasn't had theirs yet.
Right.
It could come in the playoffs.
No, they had a couple. They had a couple. Their opening game, I think, was one. That was terrible.
That was 18 weeks ago. I'm talking about in the last 5-6 weeks.
Right.
Look,
even with COVID, they won.
Yes, even with COVID, they won. Yeah.
Everyone's due one. Philly had theirs. Philly had 2, and they've kind of righted the ship a bit. Chicago had 11, and they've kind of righted the ship a bit.
Right.
Houston.
Oh, they've righted the ship a bit. They've played pretty well the last.
They have
27 weeks. I mean, that
I had a nice over bet on the season-long win projections for Houston, which was at 3 games, and managed to win that. So that was thank you.
Which makes up for your Carolina bet.
It doesn't at all. I bet 10 times the amount on Carolina. Anyways, let's talk about the available slots now. Now, Philly.
You mean virtually pretend?
Virtually pretend bets. Yes,
Okay.
of course. Yes. Now we look at the 49ers and the New Orleans Saints. So the 49ers play at the Rams. They need to win that game to get through, because if New Orleans beats Atlanta, then New Orleans sneaks through to the playoffs. Yujita, how do you see that turning out?
Well, look, San Fran is still a good team. And I think we saw a little bit of Trey Lance. He doesn't look great, but he's all right. I think he can manage that San Fran.
I think the sample size is too small for us to judge.
But what I'm
Trey
saying
Lance,
is,
right?
even if Jimmy G is not available, Shanahan can manage Trey Lance and that offense. Their defense is pretty good. Look, I mean, on offense, they've got you got Elijah Mitchell now, doing some crazy stuff in the run game. They still have the multi-purpose guy, Deebo Samuels, George Kittle. That guy's a blocker more than a tight end.
Right.
He does a great job in that. So I think San Fran could give Rams some trouble in that game, but I think LA does come through in the end.
But San Francisco got more to play for. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they got more to play for. But listen, let's give it up to the Saints for even getting to the point of that they could be in the hunt with all the crap that they had to deal with this season.
Especially quarterback.
But don't you agree that if the Saints make it to the playoffs, they're the worst team in the playoffs? Both sides, AFC or NFC.
No, Baltimore. Baltimore would be the worst team in the NFL. But yeah,
I agree with that. I think Baltimore, they just lost their way, but they still have the piece. I mean, if they get their quarterback back, then it's back to normal for them. I think they were unlucky by losing their quarterback.
Pittsburgh would be the worst team out of the potentials, personally.
I still think New Orleans is worse than
I agree. I mean,
yeah.
Pittsburgh, they play ugly, but look, they've got those guys, man. They have TJ Watt and Najee Harris. These guys can actually make or break a game. So I think they got enough. But yeah, I mean, seriously, the Saints,
and listen, for any one game, the Saints defense can strap it up and play.
Right.
Don't forget
Cameron
the Tampa Bay
Jordan
game.
And
Cameron Jordan.
So for any one game, and it's a one and done tournament. So, I mean, you can say maybe on paper the weakest, but maybe that's their one and done game. And hey,
if New Orleans lose on Sunday, it doesn't matter what happens to San Francisco go through.
Yep.
So,
right.
This is where the expanded scenario comes.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the only spot to play for, unlike the AFC where it got up to 11 can go.
Yeah, up to 11. Yeah. Mark, MVP. Is it unanimous, Aaron Rodgers?
You're not going to get me to say here. Goodness me. Matthew Stafford.
It's between Stafford and the Green Bay guy.
I'm not going to say it.
Who's that voter who came out and said that he wouldn't vote for Aaron Rodgers?
He admitted that Aaron Rodgers is the best player on the field, but he's like, that guy's a douchebag, so I'm not voting for him.
Hub Arkish. He's a really well-known beat writer in Chicago. He's very well respected.
Is that not an anagram from Mark Sherman? I mean,
alias.
He's well
Mark
respected.
Sherman.
I'm not. So
he's not respected with those kind of comments.
No, he apologized straight away.
Not now.
Yeah,
he did not. I'm sorry.
He lost a lot of credibility. He was called some bad names, which didn't really warrant.
I'm sorry, but he did not apologize. He did not No, he did. He apologized for giving out his strategy for voting. He didn't really apologize for saying what he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the apology should have been, "Hey, I'm leaving the voting, whatever." I don't think he should be there. That's kind of a biased opinion.
Yeah, Yeah. All right. Quick fire round. Which wildcard team could win it all? Yujita, you get us started.
Cincinnati.
They're
For-
not.
in
not
the
wild
AFC.
They're not wild card. They clinched the
They're a
division.
division champion.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're talking about only wild card.
Yeah.
Can I say Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Well, the year you guys won it, you were the last team anyone expected to win it. So yeah, why not? Coach.
Yeah.
New England.
New England. Mark.
Can't look past Bill Belichick. New England.
I'm gonna go out on a
New
limb
England
and
might
say
be divisional champions. So if we take out them, then I'm going to go.
Well, if they win in Buffalo, I'll say Buffalo.
Buffalo,
Yeah.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Buffalo was our preseason pick, but I'm keeping an eye on Indy. I'm not giving up on Indy just yet.
They've got to
With
win
that
in
running
Jacksonville
back-
first.
Yeah.
The
Well,
road to the Super Bowl goes through Jacksonville.
me saying this would look really bad if they end up losing to Jacksonville.
yes.
Terrible,
Now, but
terrible.
look, Wentz has reverted to Philly Wentz in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
And
He's been
Yeah.
horrible.
yeah,
His
I
arm
don't
seems
know.
to cramp up. It's really weird. You look
Yeah.
at his throwing arm now. The last few weeks, and
Yeah.
you can always feel the tension in it. It's very strange.
Right.
The action's changed. It's weird. So anyway,
and they're running with Jonathan Taylor the other week. They didn't really get anything going till about the second half. I don't know what went wrong there.
they'll
Yeah.
be
What
fine.
happened?
They're going to win.
Well, they didn't have the ball. I mean, they
Yeah.
only had the ball. What was it? 18 minutes in the first half.
Yeah.
So
I think they
almost-
had the box stacked, like 8 men stacked in the box.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't really stop them from being patient in the run game. That's their thing. They should just go for it.
But it shows
Right.
how weak they are in the throwing game.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
not gonna that's not gonna win the Super Bowl.
I don't think so. But their defense could, and the running game could, just as Coach said 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. All right. I'm sorry. I keep picking on Mark because all these questions are applicable to Mark. Black Monday.
Matt Nagy.
Matt
Bye.
Nagy, what would
Bye.
you do if for some reason the fantastic form that the Chicago Bears have been on in the last couple of games saves Matt Nagy's job and he ends up staying? What would you do as a Chicago Bears fan? I mean,
Honestly, I'd laugh because it would kind of sum up the ownership. I think they're not so out of touch. They're not so stupid that they would do that. Boomer Esiason was on the radio a couple of days ago saying that he's already been told that Matt Nagy's been told it's the last game of his career at Chicago in Minneapolis. So no, he's done. I think Fangio could be done. I think Zimmer is done. Joe Judge can be done.
So
Matt
that's
Rule-
a big game. Chicago.
Rule
Minnesota
can be
is a big
done.
game.
Matt Rule, I mean, problem is the size of the contract. $60 million deal for 7 years, and it's already been kind of spreading around amongst the Panthers fan that Tepper is embarrassed about that contract, and
But
he's
do
pretty
we know
upset.
that that's a fully guaranteed contract? Let's take the money side out of it.
Yeah,
He's gone. Honestly, if there's a get out for the owner, he's going to take it, and if he has to swallow a year's salary, he'll do that.
right.
Because-
I hope you're right, but yeah,
I
Dan
think
Campbell
he's
in
gone.
Detroit.
No,
I mean,
No,
they love him there.
no.
they love him, right?
They love him.
Yeah.
He's been a
No.
breath of fresh air for Detroit.
Yeah.
And they've had a great season. Please carry on doing Detroit things.
Detroit.
Chicago needs
Maybe
Detroit
get Stafford back.
so that we're not at the bottom of that four-team league.
Heck no, you might be second.
Exactly. If they win in the Vikings territory on Sunday, then
You're
it's
going to be in
place.
second in the league in the conference.
Yeah.
Scary.
Wow.
Scary. Heady
Second in the
heights.
conference, did you say?
No,
No.
second in their
And
division.
their
In the
division. In
Yeah.
their division. Coach, who would be a surprise victim on Black Monday?
Listen, I think probably as we've spoken a little bit the last couple of days, either Russell Wilson or their
Pete
head coach is done.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, one or the other. I think that's probably my surprise.
Okay, Yujita, your surprise pick?
I don't know about surprise, but Joe Judge, the Giants. I mean, 10, 22 record. haven't crossed 500 in few seasons. So, I mean, they got rid of Garrett. That was like let's start this thing off. So I don't think,
Just like
I don't
the
know, he
Panthers
might-
got rid of Brady.
yeah.
Just the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
I
made
don't
a
know
big
how
difference.
much
For
New
both.
York is going to tolerate Joe Judge. It looks nasty. He went on some 9-minute rant the other day as well. So I don't know how long he stays yet. He's the guy.
He's Bill Belichick. He's an ex-New England coach, and he thinks I can do the Bill Belichick thing and be this hard ass.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that goes down well with a 4-12.
When you don't have the track record, you just look silly, right?
Yeah, and they're going to lose on Sunday at home to Washington, a bad Washington team as well.
Yeah.
That
They
went
were
on a
awful
4-game
in
winning
Chicago.
losing streak, right?
The Giants were horrible on Sunday in Chicago. Horrible.
Yeah.
From the first play, they were awful. Worst team I've seen in the NFL for years.
I think we talked about this like a few weeks ago. I mean, this is not a team that's going to look good for years to come.
No.
They'll have to do some. See, I mean, Gettleman might lose his job as well, and that could be the right thing.
All right, so they get a new general manager in, and they say, "But you've got to work with Joe Judge." Who's going to do that?
No one wants to do
Who's
that.
going to do that?
Judge and Gettleman gotta go.
Exactly.
Is there an outside chance of Sean Payton in New Orleans or Harbaugh in Baltimore leaving if they don't make the playoffs?
I don't think so. I think both of them are pretty married to their general manager,
Right.
and their owners. Mark posted this the other day. I just can't see a place that Payton would go. And I've read some of the stuff about Harbaugh. He's 4 running back injuries from probably being in the playoffs.
Right.
When I say running back, I probably add quarterback to that.
You add quarterback to
even
that,
with their quarterback. So it's pretty good coaching there. So I don't think so. No, I don't think either one of them go anywhere. I don't think there's anyone that could entice them enough to leave at the college level or the professional level. I just don't see it.
Okay.
The only way they'll leave is if they want to. I feel the same with Pete Carroll in Seattle. They won't. They're not going to fire Pete Carroll. If
You think they'll let go of Russell Wilson before they fire Pete Carroll?
I think Russell Wilson will leave.
Yeah.
He wants to leave, right?
Yeah, I think that's the feeling. But I just think Pete Carroll, Harbaugh, Payton, if they want to leave, they'll leave, but their organizations will not fire them.
Okay. All right. Last thought before we wrap this up. Big Ben Roethlisberger, first ballot Hall of Famer. Yujita.
Yeah, I think for sure, man. I mean, 2-time Super Bowl winner. What is he? 5th all-time passing yards. I think 8th all-time touchdown passing. So look, he's done a great job for Pittsburgh. He obviously didn't evolve to the kind of QBs we have in the league now. There's no mobility. So you got to have a really brilliant O-line for him to be a really good elite quarterback now. And they haven't got that O-line either. So whatever he's done a great job for Pittsburgh, for the league. So I think, definitely first ballot for sure.
I see, Coach, you're nodding as well. Mark, you're nodding as well. Baker Mayfield, does he get
He's not
franchise
yet.
Does he? No. Does he get franchise next year?
First ballot.
Yeah, let go.
First ballot, yeah.
Because it was Big Ben's last home game, and it was against the Browns, and just horrible by Baker Mayfield. So, what do they do with him now? I mean, first pick, they've invested a lot of him. He's in half of the ads that come in between plays. He does more in the ads than he does on the field.
They'll get Trubisky to play for the starting position for next year.
Oh, the future looks bright for the Browns. Coach, what do you think happens to Baker Mayfield?
I think he'll be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints next year.
Whoa, interesting.
Sean Payton likes him. He really does like him. Likes him a lot.
Yeah, I would welcome him into our division. Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to think of all those second chance quarterbacks who've done well in those opportunities. I mean, we knock the Rams quarterback, but he's done reasonably well in comparison.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of making 10 mistakes each game, he makes 3.
The three that you need to lose the game usually, but yeah.
Look, if I were Cleveland, I think he's a good enough Trent Dilfer type manager.
Right.
That as good as they run the football, it's kind of like that demon that do we really want to expend enough to go get someone else or go up in the draft? And I think one more year, he probably is there. But I know Peyton likes him and liked him out of college a lot.
Okay, excellent. All right, guys. This has been a long one, but we've had a lot to talk about. So this time next week, we'll be talking playoffs. How exciting.
That's right.
All right.
What a year.
We'll know
What a
AFC first seed.
Absolutely.
Casey could be new AFC seed tonight.
Houston will do the Houston thing and lose to Tennessee, I believe. So it's guaranteed. Tennessee is the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We'll talk next
Good
week.
stuff.
Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.